Hi, I am Gladys John Patalinghug from University of Cebu Labu-Labu and Mandaue from Customs Administration. I will be presenting to you today the operational provisions of CM 22-2010 or the revised Customs Port Operation Manual. Before we'll start with the presentation, I would like to inform you that I will be using a text-to-speech audio throughout this lesson for more audio clarity. Section 13. Statutory provisions on entrance and clearance. The provisions of Section 1001 to 1025 of the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines, as amended on entrance and clearance of vessels, are deemed incorporated in this manual. Section 14. Pre-arrival. Subsection A. Notice of arrival or NOA, with estimated time of arrival or ETA. A. The shipping agent or representative of any vessel engaged in foreign trade entering any of the Philippine ports of entry shall notify the Piers and Inspection Division, Bay Service Section, or its equivalent office, of the vessel's arrival and other particulars ATLs. B. Upon receipt of the notice of arrival, NOA, the Customs Inspector or E2MO of the Piers and Inspection Division, Bay Service Section, or its equivalent office, shall perform the following functions. 1. Electronically verify the vessel registry number/principal and other vessel information through Client Profile Registration System, IPRS. 3. Encode the time and date in the system and affix his signature on the hard copy of the notice of arrival. 4. Furnish the Customs boarding team a copy of the process notice of arrival, NOA. Subsection B. Assignment of Customs boarding team. The Customs boarding team shall be assigned by the Chief, Bay Section, or equivalent office, through a duly signed assignment order. Section 12, item number 4 hereto is contained therein. All documents, except copies for the Customs Inspector on board the vessel, shall be forwarded to the Office of the Chief, Bay Service Section for transmittal to offices concerned. 4. Inward Foreign Manifest, IFM, and Consolidated Cargo Manifest, CCM contents. The hard copy of the Inward Foreign Manifest required to be submitted by the master of the vessel to the boarding officer shall contain the following information. A. Bill of lading number. B. Marks and numbers of cartons, drums, boxes, crates and other forms of protective packaging, for break bulk. C. Container and seal number if containerized and initials FCL, if full container load, and LCL, if less container load. D. Number of packages. E. Kind of packages, cartons, boxes, crates, drums, etc. F. Contents of description of cargo. G. Shipper. H. Consignee. I. Gross weight in metric tons. J. Measurement in cubic meters. K. Port of origin. I. Notify party. Inward foreign cargo manifest submitted not in accordance with the above requirements shall be rejected. The Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall, with his initials, note down on all the copies of inward foreign cargo manifest delivered to him by the master of the vessel, the specific time and date when such documents were received. If the inward foreign cargo manifest is not in the English language, the Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall require its translation to English before accepting the same. Charges for 1. Late submission. A. First offense 10,000 pesos. B. Second offense 20,000 pesos. C. Third offense 30,000 pesos. 2. Non-compliant submission is charged 30 pesos. Section 15. Arrival. Subsection A. Documents/permits. Entry of vessels from any port or place outside of the Philippines shall not be permitted until they have obtained a warranting certificate issued under the authority of the Bureau of Quarantine. However, if a vessel has already been issued a quarantine certificate in the first Philippine port of entry, she will not be required to undergo another quarantine formalities at succeeding ports of call in the Philippines. No person shall be allowed to board or leave the vessel before they are cleared by the Bureau of Quarantine, except the pilot who is governed by the quarantine regulations in such contingencies. The certificate shall be part of the required documents to be received by the Customs Senior Boarding Officer from the master of the vessel. No quarantine permit shall be required for the discharge of regularly manifested cargo, including animals, plants, etc., unless otherwise required by law or regulations. However, if animals or plants are carried as baggage, their discharge shall be subject to the regulations promulgated by the bureau or office concerned. 2. Entrance of vessel from a foreign port. Upon arrival of a vessel from a foreign port, BACO PM Form No. 9, Oath of Entering Vessel from a Foreign Port, with customs documentary stamp duly accomplished by the master in 4. The following customs personnel shall be the members of the customs boarding team. 1. Customs Senior Boarding Officer. 2. Customs Inspector. 3. Customs Guard/S. C. Submission of advance electronic manifest before arrival of vessels engaged in foreign trade through E2N customs system and penalties. The submission of electronic copy of inward foreign manifest, EIFM, and electronic copy of consolidated cargo manifest, F3CCM, must be done through any of the value-added service providers or VASPs, accredited by the BOC. The cutoff time for e-manifest, EIFM and ECCM submission is calculated from the submitted estimated date and time of arrival using the BOT Gateway Service Clock. The EIFM must be submitted ahead of the ECCM. If the ECCM is submitted ahead of the EIFM, the ECAM will not be registered in the E2N customs system, but has to be resubmitted when the EIFM is already registered. Registration of e-manifest. The system automatically registers a manifest in the 2M customs system if the manifest meets the submission deadline. However, if the deadline is missed, the concerned shipping line/agent should submit a formal request letter to the office the Deputy Collector for Operations to allow a BOC-initiated manual registration of the manifest in E2M. Only the Deputy Collector for Operations can approve the request and execute the manual registration, through the Direct Register function, in E2M. A late or non-compliant submission fee will be charged for this procedure following the schedule of fines provided in Section 2521 of the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines, as amended. Copies shall be presented to the Office of the Customs Clearance Officer within 24 hours. 3. Documents to be produced by master upon entry of vessel. The following documents properly accomplished shall be submitted by the master to the Customs Senior Boarding Officer. A. Quarantine certificate, critique. B. Clearance of vessel from last port of call. C. Original and 4. Copies of inward foreign manifest duly signed by the master. D. 3. Copies each of the following. 1. Crew list. 2. Passengers list. 3. Passengers list for aliens as required by immigration law in force in the Philippines. 4. Copy of original duplicate of bills of lading. 5. Bonded store list. 6. Narcotics and dangerous drugs list. 7. Ships store list. 8. May list. 9. Firearms and ammunition list. 10. Cruise declaration list. 11. Parcel list. 12. Shipping articles and register of full vessel of Philippine registry. E. Through cargo manifests, if any, which shall be deposited to the customs inspector and shall be returned to the master prior to departure to other ports. F. Cargo stowage plan or hatch list. G. If passenger vessel, 3 copies of disembarking passengers list and their baggage declaration. The Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall, after carefully comparing the copies with the original manifest, stamp each of such manifests on the last page thereof with a rubber stamp provided for that purpose, and verify that the necessary information required in accordance with all articles, wares, goods, merchandise, and any other cargo including unaccomplished baggage, and orders or in cargo from abroad, received by the master, officers and crew of vessels without bills of lading are not covered by manifests or parcel list shall be subject to seizure as unmanifested cargo under the customs law. Distribution of inward foreign manifest, IFM, hard copies. The inward foreign manifest shall be distributed to the following offices. A. Original copy of Piers and Inspection Division, PLO, or equivalent office. B. 1 copy of Commission on Audit, COA, Resident Auditor TRUF the Office of the Commissioner OCOM. C. 1 copy of Intelligence Group, D. 1 copy of Assessment and Operations Monitoring Group, AOCG. 5. Permits for discharge and lading of cargo. Unless the vessel has put into in distress, the Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall, upon placing the vessel under Customs surveillance and control, issue a general permit. Such permit, however, shall not constitute an authority for the loading of export cargo or delivery of import cargo at Shipside without the required entries or permits as the case may be. The general permit shall be endorsed by the customs inspector assigned on board the vessel mentioned in the permit at the back thereof, showing whether all import cargoes has been discharged at the port or not. Such permit shall be included in his report after the termination of his assignment on board a vessel. 6. Endorsement of permits. The following permits shall be endorsed on the reverse side thereof. A. The general permit. B. The Shipside permit. C. Permits for the sending of special consignments of cargo to the piers or to the parcel section. D. Permits issued by the Deputy Collector for its equivalent office for the transfer of cargo from one vessel to another. On the same permit and directly under the preceding endorsement, the receiving customs inspector shall make an endorsement to the effect that he received the cargoes on board the vessel to which he is assigned. All endorsements and returns shall be signed over the printed name and executed clearly and legibly, especially with reference to any figures that may be included. All minor corrections shall be initialed by the endorsing officer. All other permits shall be endorsed on the reverse side thereof. 7. Shipside permits. Shipside permit, when duly processed and approved by the Collector of Customs or the Deputy Collector for Operations or its equivalent office, as the case may be, is an authority for the Customs Inspector assigned on a vessel to allow the discharge of cargoes specified on the permit at Shipside onto lighters, underguarded. 8. Transfer note, boat note, shall be made in sextuplicate by the Customs Inspector on board. 4. Cargoes delivered at Shipside, the transfer note shall show the following. A. Name of vessel and registry number. B. Name of lighter. C. Name of broker and or consignee. D. Shipside permit number. E. Marks and numbers. F. Kinds and description of goods. G. Time and date lighter left alongside the vessel. H. Names and signatures of Customs Inspector, Customs Guard, in charge of lighter and the patron of the lighter. I. Any other information and or remarks such as, conditions set forth on the Shipside permit by the Collector of Customs. 3 kinds of Shipside permits. A. Regular Shipside permit, issued by the Deputy Collector for Operations or its equivalent office as now port entry required for all cargoes which belong to the categories of regular Shipside cargoes under existing regulations. B. Special Shipside permit, when cargoes do not belong to regular Shipside cargoes, such as ballast, garbage, provisions, water, bunkering, vessel parts for repair. The ship's agent has to get the authority from the Collector of Customs prior to the processing and approval by the Deputy Collector for Operations or its equivalent office. C. Temporary Shipside permit, is a written authority to discharge cargoes at Shipside onto lighter per order of the Collector of Customs. Pending issuance of Shipside permits, the Customs Inspector assigned on a vessel who allows the discharge of cargoes at Shipside shall comply strictly with conditions and or requirements stated on the permit, and prior to the unloading of the cargoes, he must first check the cargoes mentioned in the permit against the inward foreign manifest. B. Boarding sequence. The vessel upon arrival from a foreign port at the port of entry and after the issuance of the quarantine certificate, critique, by the Bureau of Quarantine shall be boarded in the following order. 1. Customs Senior Boarding Officer, Customs Inspector and Customs Guards assigned to the vessel. 2. Immigration Officer. 3. Department of Agriculture or Plant or Animal or Fisheries Quarantine Representative, as required. 4. Other agencies or persons authorized by the Collector of Customs. See Customs Boarding Team on Foreign Vessel. 1. The Customs Senior Boarding Officer shall place the vessel under Customs control and surveillance by posting 1 Customs Inspector and Customs Guards thereon. 2. No person shall be permitted to go on board such vessel except the pilot, consul, health officials, immigration and customs officers without the permission of the customs inspector on board a vessel. 3. No tugboat, rowboat, or other watercraft shall be allowed to go alongside the vessel to ferry any person to or from the vessel without a permit from the Collector of Customs or his duly authorized representative. 4. Unauthorized tugboats, rowboats and other watercrafts shall keep away from such vessel engaged in foreign trade at a distance of not less than 50 meters. D. Actual time of arrival, ATA, of foreign vessel through E2 and customs system. After boarding formalities, the E2 of Pearson Inspection Division Bay Service Section, shall input the actual time of arrival, ATA, from the boarding information sheet submitted by the Customs Boarding Officer. E. Submission of Supplemental Cargo Manifest. Supplementally manifest submission is treated as non-compliant/late submission, and shall be subject to penalty as stated in Part 11 Section 14C of this manual. Supplementally manifest must be submitted in hard copies and electronic form within the period prescribed in CAL 6/2007 and CMO 37/2009, otherwise, the shipment subject of the supplementary manifest will be considered unmanifested and subject to seizure proceedings. F. Unloading of cargoes. 1. Containerized. A. Discharging of containerized cargoes shall be authorized only upon issuance of a general permit by the Customs Senior Boarding Officer. B. Thereafter, unloading of containers shall commence. C. During unloading, the Customs Inspector/Customs Guard on board RD foreign vessel shall verify the container number/S against the discharging sequence. D. Customs Inspector/Customs Guards shall check/inspect if container seals are intact. E. Submit discharging report shall be submitted upon completion of the unloading operation. 2. Bulk and break bulk. The accredited surveyor may be allowed to board the vessel for purposes of securing/need for a discharge port survey, DPS, report due to absence of a load port survey, LPS, report or upon agreement by the shipper and consignee, upon appropriate instruction from the One-Stop Shop, OSS, headed by the Deputy Commissioner of Assessment and Operations Coordinating Group, AOCG. 2.1. Unloading of bulk and break bulk cargoes at Shipside. After discharge of bulk cargoes at Shipside, the customs inspector on board must sign and attest to the long tally of the on-signee surveyor report. In cases wherein the vessel is anchored at the anchorage, personal effects, parcel cargoes and the like may be discharged at Shipside onto the launch for subsequent immediate delivery. That the Office of Bay Service Section, or its equivalent office, under guarded, where the goods shall be duly received by the customs in charge thereat on the face of the transfer note. Cargoes shall be released upon presentation to the customs inspector on board a statement of settlement of duties and taxes, SSDT, duly issued by the Formal Entry Division or its equivalent office. That the Office of Bay Service Section, or its equivalent office, under guarded, where the goods shall be duly received by the customs in charge thereat on the face of the transfer note. Cargoes shall be released upon presentation to the customs inspector on board a statement of settlement of duties and taxes, SSDT, duly issued by the Formal Entry Division or its equivalent office. That the checker does his job correctly. Section 16. Departure. A. Documents/permits. 1. Documents required for exportation. 1.1. In general. A. Export declaration. B. Commercial invoice. C. Packing list. D. Export permit, for regulated cargoes. 1.2. Additional documents required. A. CDW shipments. B. PISA shipments. C. Provincial loading. D. Constructive warehousing and immediate exportation. E. Special permit to load. 2. Inspector certificate of lading or report of customs inspector on board. He shall submit the original copy of the inspector's certificate of lading together with the working copies of the export declaration/permits covered by the report to the Export Division/Processing Office, or its equivalent office, concerned within 5 working days after the departure of the carrying vessel to which the conventional export cargoes are loaded. The customs inspector shall maintain a running list of all export declarations/permits presented to him covering export cargoes to be loaded on board a vessel to which he is assisted, which conventional export cargoes are loaded. The customs inspector shall maintain a running list of all export declarations/permits presented to him covering export cargoes to be loaded on board a vessel to which he is assisted. Senior boarding officer shall place the vessel under customs surveillance and supervision by posting the customs inspector on board. Upon receipt of marine protest that the vessel put into port for the purpose of relieving distress and that no cargo or passenger will be discharged or laden, the vessel may be permitted to sail subject to the usual entrance and clearance formalities at the Custom House. Section 17. Customs Transit. Customs transit means the customs procedure under which goods are transported under customs control from one customs office to another. Customs transit operation refers to the transport of the goods from an office of departure to an office of destination under customs transit. Customs transit by overland transportation shall be subject to such additional conditions as proper customs authorities may impose, provided it shall be underguarded until received by the collector of customs or deputy collector for operations at the port of destination, and, provided, further, that the compartment where the cargo is stored or each and every package thereof be sealed with customs. There are 4 kinds of customs transit operation. A. From port of entry to another port of entry as exit point for outright exportation, LA, local, POM to Subic. B. From port of entry to another port of entry inland customs office, LA, POM to PISA or outside CICFS/off dock. C. From an inland customs office to port of entry as exit point for outright exportation, i.e., PISA to POM. D. From one port of entry inland customs office to another port of entry inland customs office, LA, CBW to CBW, CBW to PISA and PISA to PISA. Section 18. Transhipment. Customs procedure under which goods are transferred under customs control from the importing means of transport to the exporting means of transport within the area of one customs office, which is the office of both importation and exportation, i.e., foreign transhipment. A. Special instructions to customs inspectors relative to the discharge of transhipped cargo. In this subsection, it indicates how customs inspector do their work for the discharged transhipped cargo based on the special instructions. B. Instructions relative to foreign transhipment by CCCD. After having been duly processed at the Deputy Collector for Operations, the foreign transhipment permit, in case of containerized cargoes, with its supporting documents shall be coursed through the Customs Container Control Division, or its equivalent office, for posting of container numbers and their eventual loading. Section 19. Transfer of imported cargo TL outside CICFS, by CCCD. After having been duly processed at the Office of the Deputy Collector for Operations, the permit to transfer to outside CY1 CFS shall be coursed through the Customs Container Control Division, or its equivalent office, for posting of container numbers and their eventual transfer. The permit to transfer to outside CICFS shall then be transmitted to the Office of the Chief, PLO, or its equivalent office. That is all for the operational provision of CMO 22-2010. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from my presentation. See you next time.